Hi, this is Dan Tischler. I've been an assistant baseball coach here at Columbia for 10 years, and this is Reel to Reel. A League of Their Own. The scene that really stands out in A League of Their Own is the climactic scene, the final scene, where Kit hits a high fastball to the opposite field. It is the pitch that her older sister knows she has a hard time laying off, but this time she's able to get on top and hit a good ball to her opposite field gap. The thing that really stands out in terms of baseball in this scene is how good a turn Kit takes around second. You watch her run the bases and she cuts the bag pretty well. So something that stands out as very accurate in my mind is the way that Dottie positions herself at home plate. If you watch Dottie set herself up, she's in a really athletic stance, she has a good base, and she's ready to have to move one way or the other if Kit tries to go left or right, but she also is able to sustain some contact at home plate with that collision. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rank To A League of Their Own probably at about a 4. The Natural. One thing that stands out in The Natural is a young Robert Redford's swing. He actually has some ability there. You can see that he has some loft in that left-handed swing. It's pretty tailored to the ballpark that they were in, but definitely a guy who you could tell worked on it throughout the beginning of that movie and really put himself in a position to portray a baseball player really well. The iconic ending of The Natural with Robert Redford hitting the home run into the light stanchion in right field is pretty unrealistic until you think back to the late 60s, early 70s when Reggie Jackson, then a member of the Oakland A's, in that same stadium in an All-Star game, hit a home run onto the roof of Tiger Stadium. Now, it didn't break any lights, but it did definitely set a precedent for Robert Redford being able to go that far and hit a ball that hard. On a scale of 1 to 10, The Natural is probably about a 4 on the realistic scale. Major League. One of the main characters in the film, Jake Taylor, the grizzled veteran catcher, is brought in for his leadership ability and I would imagine for the inexpensiveness of his contract. But if you watch Tom Berenger, the actor who played Jake Taylor in that movie, it can be tough to watch at times. Not the most accurate portrayal of the baseball side of things. I think that Tom Berenger did a great job with the character and makeup side of what he was supposed to be playing, but in terms of the actual on-field performance, it definitely leaves something to be desired. So Pedro Cerrano in the movie, if you look at the swings that he takes during some of the batting practice scenes, these are really good swings. He's a pretty physical guy, gets some loft on the ball, he finishes high, there's some athleticism in the swing. Pitching coach kind of peeks his head out and tells the pitcher to start mixing it up a little bit. And that's where we find the flaw. Pedro Cerrano, with curveball bats, they are scared. It is a tough scene for him. That's something that is absolutely consistent with what we do as far as our scouting reports. Obviously not to that extent, but we know that there are guys that are geared up for the fastball who can really handle that pitch well, who might have a hard time recognizing spin or laying off of sliders that are down in the zone. Those are things that as a coaching staff we look for and we talk with our pitching staff and our catchers about before every game. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rank Major League as about a 5. Sandlot. I think Benny the Jet teaching Smalls how to throw and describing it as just imagine you have a paper route is actually pretty accurate. There is a lot to the mechanics of throwing that translates to other skills. When you throw on a paper route, full disclosure, never had a paper route, grew up in New York City, but when you're throwing something, a paper or a water bottle, your elbow is going to come up and you're going to come forward like that. I actually think that that's a pretty good description of what you would want a young kid to do when they're first learning how to throw a baseball. I think it's a pretty low probability to take a fungo bat and hit a fly ball to an outfielder and have them standing still and hit it right into their glove. It's a little bit easier with the infielders. You can shape the ball. You can maybe have it be on 2 bounces right to them. But for an outfielder who's standing anywhere between 200 and 300 feet away, to be able to hit a perfect fungo right into a glove, the odds are pretty low. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rank The Sandlot between a 4 and a 5 on the realistic scale for baseball. Bull Durham. One thing that stands out about Bull Durham is Kevin Costner's athletic ability. When you watch him take a swing, from either side of the plate in that movie because he's a switch-hitting catcher. It's pretty fluid. He's using his body well. He's finishing with his hands through the ball. The batting cage scene with Susan Sarandon looks pretty easy for him, looks pretty natural. A unique thing about baseball is that you have one position who is taking responsibility and taking care of a number of other guys on the field, and that's the catcher. And I think that Costner in Bull Durham really does a great job of portraying that old grizzled veteran catcher who is there to shepherd along a young pitcher and get him ready to pitch at the highest level. On a scale of 1 to 10, Bull Durham is about a 6 on the realistic scale.